What up, y'all? We're restoring harmony, recalibrating energy to heal, balance, and reestablish divine order. Y'all better get you some. Get in here with Akilah and Zakkiya. Welcome back, y'all. It's Zakkiya and
Akilah.
Get In Here. And we have changed things up a bit.
We did some different things this time.
We were supposed to be planning and recording season 3 right now, but we
Right.
didn't for some unforeseen reasons. So we ended up not recording. Now, of course, it feels kind of serendipitous because Sinners was released during this time. And within that time, which is in the last week,
Right.
Akilah and I have both seen Sinners 3 times. Not one,
Yes.
not two, but
Oh
3
my gosh.
in 7 days. And
It's
just
true.
like the rest of the world, we can't stop talking about it. So we
Right.
figured let's get on and let's dissect this movie and just talk about what happened when you experienced it. So Akilah, I'm going to start with you because you watched it first and then you text me. So tell me your initial reaction.
And I text you and I said, girl, you got to go see this. Like, stop playing. Don't wait. Go see it.
You did.
When
And I ended up going to see it on my birthday for the first time because it was
Right.
like such a gift. But okay, go ahead. Tell me your first thing.
So now I feel like I didn't have any expectations with this movie because I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't even remember seeing a trailer like for this movie. Like, I didn't know it was categorized as like a horror movie. I was like, I didn't really think about these vampires. I had no expectations because I feel like I didn't see anything. So that for one, I went in there blindly and I feel like I left after viewing like a spiritual concert. You know what I mean? It was just like food for the soul, something to think about. And it just had so much meaning to a lot of things going on around us, right?
It did.
And
It
the
did.
things that you and I talk about all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I left that. Now, here's the thing, when I left the theater the first time, I had to go and meditate. Do you remember I told you I was like,
Yeah.
I need to shake something off of me right now because it left me and it felt heavy a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But but needless to say, I was like, Zakkiya, you have to go see it. So the first thing, what was you gonna say?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So the first thing that I remember watching and leaving the theater with this line in my head, and it was when Annie said, they can't feel the warmth of the sun. I
Mm.
don't know why that took me somewhere. And I was just like, that is such a profound thing. And I think it touched me because I was like, you know what? I need to reconnect. I need to go outside more. I need to
Mhm.
start being closer to the sun every single day. Like no excuses anymore. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and you said that we talked about that in season 2, and you were saying reconnecting with the earth. And so that's
Yes.
interesting that that's what you took away from the first time.
Oh
So
my goodness. And then I
now,
kind of like, I what?
remember, so when you text me and you said, hey, you got to go see it, but then you also said, like, I had to go meditate. And I was like, I don't know, girl. I'm in such a good place. My birthday's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, and you're
Yeah.
like, no, this isn't going to mess you up, Z. Go see it. So I go
No,
see
you had to see it. Like for me, after I left there, and that's what I remembered, I was like, I kind of brought it back to like modern day. Like if you see now a lot of billionaires and a lot of people with money, they're building these bunkers. You know what I mean? And like they're getting underneath the ground. You see like the TV shows on Netflix where it's the end of the world and where they go into the cave. You know, look, people, I'ma just say this. When you have to disconnect me from my sun, my source, my, you know what I mean? You're like, this is what feeds me, right? When you have to connect, it's over for me. Like just call it quits. Just it's time to
it's
go.
no longer for you.
You
And
know
that
what I
makes
mean?
so much sense to everything that we said last season and what you personally said last season with nature and being outside and in the
Yes.
sun and reconnecting, hugging trees and all that. So that makes sense if that's what you would take away.
Yeah.
So
What was yours?
I go the next day, I book a ticket. It's first of all, what's so crazy is it's my birthday, it's Easter, and I'm going to see a movie at 11 a.m. Called Sinners. It's all opposite. So I go and I go by myself, which my favorite thing to do,
Right.
to go to the movies by myself. So I go by myself and I'm sitting there and I'm watching this movie and I feel the same thing where I'm like, I have been on a spiritual roller coaster through this movie. But I remember, well, other than I have seen it 3 times and I have teared up each time.
Really still? Oh
Yeah,
my
which is
God.
so crazy. But the first time, oh my God, y'all, I ran to the car. Luckily, I stayed to the final credit and saw the final scene with Sammy singing.
Oh
But when
yeah.
I ran to the car, because I was like, I got to get out of this theater because I'm about to be like,
Every single time this happens to you, I don't get it. I'm like, I
yeah,
was just, when I was in the theater today, my friend who went with me the first time, we went to see it today. This was my third, this was her second. I looked at her, I said, we shouldn't be jumping anymore, right? Like, this is the third time for me. Like, we shouldn't be jumping because there are a couple of scary moments or, like big sounds in it. So,
well, what's interesting? Because I don't like horror movies whatsoever. I don't like to be
right.
scared. I don't like that kind of like jump
Yeah,
scare type of movie. So that's why I didn't want to go see it. But funny
right.
enough, I didn't have that reaction. I was never scared during this movie. It was because it was storytelling. So for me,
Yeah,
when
it
I
was.
walked out of
You're
it that
right.
first time and composed myself, I was like, oh my gosh, Sinners is this generation's The Color Purple. Because when you think about
Ooh.
it, it was the first time that we saw our
Yes.
stories from a lens that felt like it was ours.
Mm.
It talked about history, ancestry, it talked about freedom, it was redemption. It is the same thing that Sinners is. It
Look,
is a redemption song of freedom.
I can't even sit still. I can't even sit still because what you just said, I was like, that hit. That hit. Like, yes, it is this generation's color purple.
The song, the
Oh,
feeling
wow.
that it gave you, then the horror, like The Color Purple could be considered horror because there were some horrific scenes in that
There
movie,
was
right?
drama in that movie.
Exactly, but like, and this was supposed to be horror, but it was a love story, and
Yeah.
it
Oh,
just did something for me. Okay,
that's
so
it.
now, okay, that was after the first time. What happened after you saw it the second time?
So the second time, I went in there already knowing the story now. So I went in there and said, I want to look at this movie through the lens of the love story. So exactly what you just said. I wanted to pay particular attention to the love stories. So the one between Smoke and Annie, and then Stack and Mary, like those two love stories was it for me. Um, I just took away, I think who kind of touched me the most was Annie's
Mm,
character, right? Because
mhm,
she just held so much. Like she was, I could feel the weight of Annie, you know what I mean? And so
mhm,
she was just with me the whole time. But I also felt a little torn with Mary. I was a
mm.
little torn with Mary, baby.
Well, I think that's the same way we also feel about Grace. This like torn of like, I understand Grace. You
Oh,
was
yeah.
worried about Lisa in the grocery store, but
Yes.
I also like was like, girl, somebody
Yes.
just shut her up, right? But like, yes. But anyway, go ahead. So you went and looked at the love story.
I looked at the love story, and when I looked at Stack and Mary's love story, it was so hard to kind of take in only because here was like two people who were in love with each other since they were kids, right? So that young love.
Mm-hmm.
And then Stack understanding and realizing that they could never be together. And
Mm-hmm.
so he had to get tough, like, and be like,
He
just
was
leave
trying
me
to
alone.
he was trying to protect her. He was like, I set
He
this up for you because
was.
I could never protect you. That's how I protect you by not being with you. Even
Yes.
though, and it was funny. So go ahead. No, sorry, keep going
No,
because
go ahead. Go ahead.
no, that's my takeaway from my third time. So I'll tell you about that.
Oh,
Yeah. So go ahead.
but let's just talk about it now. So So Mary just, she didn't understand that what Stack was doing was, like you said, protecting her. And she just had to be so tough. And my thing was, baby, how can you be tough when you know good and damn well him being with you could get that man killed, could
Well,
get his
both of
whole
them. He
family
didn't care.
killed, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
he
And
didn't care.
but it just wasn't about them two, right? It would have disturbed a whole family. And
Well,
so I was torn with Mary. I wanted to go say, Mary, go sit down somewhere.
yeah.
Go
Well,
sit
but
down
did they
somewhere.
ultimately get what they wanted?
Come up off your high privileged horse, Mary.
So, okay, so when I went the second time, what I took from it, the same thing. The second time I went, I was like, okay, I know what the story is about. Now, let me look at the details of what Ryan Coogler has put into this movie. Let me see
Oh,
the,
Ryan
like the hidden
Coogler,
messages
baby.
and the symbolism. So I'm looking at it, and what I noticed that was threaded throughout the movie was humming. It happened repeatedly over and
Yes.
over and over in the movie. And we talk about this in season two about
Yeah.
the power of humming, of sound, of vibration to heal. And so when that was in the movie, I was like, the reason I cried in the first one was because I felt so validated in everything that I have felt for so long and everything that we have talked about.
Mm,
I
yeah.
saw myself, I saw my stories, I saw my ancestors in that movie. And so that's why I was so overcome. And that's why I always tear up because I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Thank you. This was the visual that I needed. I feel like to crack the code
Yeah.
of to like, and to release myself and to allow myself freedom. So I was just like taken aback. But anyway, yes. So humming, I was like,
Yes. Oh, so I watched like an
mhm.
interview afterwards, and Delroy Lindo, who played Slim, what is his name?
Yes, but was
Delta
also
Slim.
okay. Wait, hold on, really quick. We talk about the fact that Delroy also shows up in your dreams
So
regularly.
can I say that? I was like, should I tell them that? So I don't under
Yes, you should tell them that.
I don't know why this man has shown up in my dreams twice now. And it
Mhm,
started maybe a year ago. And he's always been like my helper. Like I was in some shit and he got me out,
mhm.
right? And then like he's always been maybe like a father figure or a helper or something to that extent. So anytime I see him on screen, I'm like, oh gosh, I need to pay attention because he's about to tell me something. He's
But what's
talking to
also
me, y'all.
But what's also crazy about that, the things that you described in the dream are exactly what his character were in the movie. That's exactly what he did. So it's like, were you tapping
Yes.
into the spirit of this character, of an ancestor that like because everyone laughed at his parts because I think in every family someone can identify with
Yes.
him.
Yes.
Somebody
He
knows,
brought he
right?
brought some comedic relief, definitely.
But we recognize that character. We know who he is, who has been through hard times, who
Yeah.
drinks, but has like stories and all this. But anyway,
Right.
okay, so go back. So go back to what you were
So
saying.
he was in an interview and he was saying when they were doing that scene where they were in the car and he tells a story of him and his friend Rice. Um, and then at the end of that kind of like monologue, he just starts humming, right? He was like, that was unscripted. Like that wasn't even written in. Nobody really understood like what to do because and I looked at it this third time and like Sammy's in the back and he's like, he don't even know what to do. And then like Michael B. Jordan has to say, you got that guitar, boy. You better do something. Like, it was just, but the humming, like that pulled at my strings as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, but it validated it. I was like, oh, we are on to something. Um, okay, and then okay, so now we've now seen it twice. We go in to see it for a third time. What did you take away this last time? Which was today. We saw it before we filmed this episode earlier today. We both went and saw it separate theaters. Go ahead.
So the third time I watched it, it was little Sammy that I was like, okay, what is it here? Like, and did you get the message? Like, did it come through to you in your youthful age, right? And I left there and I was like, it didn't. To me, like Sammy had a dilemma, right? Like he could choose the gospel music with his daddy as a preacher boy, or he could go and play the blues with the drunks, right? Like he had a choice, and he chose to go and play the blues, and his passion was yes to the blues, but he just was also a rebellious soul a little bit to me. You know what I mean? Like he made some decisions that was just like, nah, I'd rather go and play the blues and drink. Sammy was hitting on a married woman. You understand? Like he was
Okay,
making
so-
decisions
Yeah,
that
but
was for grown folks.
how old do you think Sammy's supposed to be in this
I
in this
don't
movie?
know. I was thinking about that. What did you
Let me look
think?
it up because if Sammy is a teenager, first of all, not only did he get up extra early to fill his quota to pick all his cotton, he still got home so he could get them kids up so that he could, help his mama out, help his family out, so that he could go out and enjoy a Friday night out.
Yeah.
If he is anything in a teen and how we were in the teens, up in the clubs, just wanting to get out, you cannot fault him for that, girl.
But
And I
it's 1932 at the same time. Like that, we're not in the same era, baby. Like
well,
you, first of all, your daddy is a preacher. You're not talking back to your daddy in 1932. Hell, I wasn't talking back to my daddy in 1982, baby.
that's the funny thing. I didn't see it as rebellion at all. I saw it
He
as a
had a rebellious
teenager who
nature to
wanted to
me.
be a teen.
He
Who
just wanted
wanted
to
to
be
be
he wanted to be free too. We said that after we saw it the second time, or like the words that kind of kept coming up, and like free was one of those words. And we talk about that too, honey. You want to get free of just anything. And in this particular case, honey, get free of them demons so you can live.
well, and that's the thing. So like he was living on a plantation.
Sure.
How could you ever be? He was technically free living on a plantation, still picking cotton. How could you ever feel free like that? But okay. So anyway, okay, I watched it this last time, and when I say I saw things in this one that I had not seen in any of the other,
You
and I
said
was
that.
so taken back. Okay, so the first thing, because it was Sinners was a beautiful display of black male vulnerability.
Hmm.
Black men showing affection. When Stack and Smoke first had to leave each other in the beginning of the movie, they said they
Yeah.
hugged each other and they said, I love you. And
Yes.
then they both had to confess their love for the woman that they love but left. That
Correct.
same night, they both told the women that they loved them. And then again, right before Stack died, he said, I love you.
Mm.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And that is what we talked about in season 2. And I was like, I want a man who feels safe
Yes.
enough to be vulnerable with me, to tell me how he feels, tell me what he's thinking. And then I was watching this film today and I was like, what a beautiful display of black male vulnerability. Because
Absolutely.
we don't get it. Black men do not have the space to be vulnerable. And I saw that in this
No.
film, a horror film with vampires.
At
And I
that,
was
right?
so moved, right? I was
And
so
then I
moved.
was like, here's the thing. Michael B. Jordan did the damn thing because
Mm,
he had to
mm,
play both of those roles, right?
mm.
And they were so different, and he killed it, baby. Like
He was
that was my whole thing. And I finally looked at Michael B. Jordan like, "Hello, sir,
girl,
grown
me
man.
too. I was about
Hello, grown man."
to say, I was about to say, honey, he was fine in both of those roles and so
Yes.
sexy. And I was like, oh my, okay, Michael.
I
But
know,
then
right?
I
Yes.
just never really looked at him like that, honey. But in them end scene when he came out them woods and he was ready, I was like, okay. 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 So, okay, there's one other thing which you're going to love that I heard for the first time, this third time watching the movie. So it's when Sammy is singing, and do you remember when like it looks like the sawmill has gone up in flames, but you're seeing it from the vampire's POV. They're looking out in the farm because they're seeing all the energy that Sammy is producing
Yes.
by singing, right?
Correct.
So Delroy comes on and he says, there's like a little bit of a monologue. And at the end, he says, if you heal our people, you free our people. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't hear that at all the first two times. And I was like,
Yes.
that's literally what we have been saying these last two seasons. Is,
Yes.
y'all, you got to do the work so you can heal. And if you heal, you can
Right.
set yourself free. And I just
Right.
was, again, I didn't, no tears actually dropped from my eyes this time, but I still got teary eyed when Annie comes on the screen with the baby as Smoke is dying. He's like dying and he's seeing the spiritual
Yes.
realm. He's now seeing it, right? And then the man disturbs him and he's like, hold on and let me deal with this. And he's like, okay, now I'm gonna finish dying so I can go back to the spiritual realm and be
He
with
was
the woman
ready
I love and the baby that I am still yearning for.
because he was
And that I'm
ready.
still mourning. He was still mourning that baby. So like
Yes.
it was just a beautiful show of affection. Ryan Coogler, you did the damn thing. This
He did the
movie, I
damn
honestly,
thing.
because everybody's talking about it, everybody has an opinion. And I don't even care what people's opinions are. I just love that everyone is talking about it because I believe what this movie has just done is create a collective shift in consciousness because it is forcing everybody to think.
And the
What does that
music
movie
did
really
that.
mean?
And the music did that, right? Like it's it told me like how powerful music is. Like we just got the source. They said, whether or not it's true or not, they said the way to tap into, both worlds to pull it in, all you got to do is play music. That I mean like real
But we know that.
genuine soulful music.
We knew that though, but we know. But here's the thing: all music, regardless of what kind of music it is, has the power to heal or destroy. That's how the
Or
movie opened,
yeah,
right?
or
So
correct.
heal or destroy, and
Yeah.
so that's why we have always talked about it being very thoughtful and conscious about the content you expose yourself to,
That's it. Yep, that is
and
it.
so oh, this movie just like this has done something for me, has done something for everyone that I know that has watched it. I literally you cannot scroll TikTok without seeing someone saying something about sinners. It's like, and that's what I mean. That's why I say it's a collective shift in consciousness because everybody's talking about it. There are things that I think about it on a much deeper level that have validated me in the character of Annie, where I've always been called kind of like a hippie. Like you even said it,
Yeah,
you're like
yeah,
hippie.
right.
I was like, oh, those were me recounting the roots that I know someone in my family knew how to throw the bones,
That's it.
knew how to. She had like the Florida water in her little store and
Yeah.
like the mojo bag. She knew how to work with the earth.
Honey, that mojo bag. And let's talk about how Annie was still using black money. Like, can we talk about that?
Yeah,
Like, Annie said, I don't want your blood money because I ain't going nowhere. Like, I want to be here in my home with my people around me. I want to be here and I'm going to continue to use my money amongst my people just fine.
she was the only one that didn't want to be free of the land, essentially, right? But
Right.
she was ultimately the only one who asked to be free when she said to Smoke, like,
Because she already
if they,
knew.
if she, well, she probably knew because she threw the bones, but she was like, if they get me, release me, give
Yeah.
me freedom. And so, but then now it made me start thinking about with Stack, he is now stuck in this reverberating, like recycling. They're not getting a day older. He can't go out and see the sun. He can only come out at night. But I noticed today he had like a Jesus piece chain when he came into the Sammy in the post credit, the first post credit scene.
Oh, okay.
He has on. So, it reminds me of Notorious B.I.G. When he comes in with the
Mm.
Fuji sweater, the glasses, the whole thing. I was like, this is so 1992.
Yes.
But he has the Jesus piece chain, which
Right.
once we talked about in the movie the first time we both said when Sammy started singing the Lord's Prayer and then the vampire Remick was like, oh yeah, I know them words too.
I know that,
They were
sir. You're not saying nothing I ain't never heard before.
he was like the same man who stole my land and killed my people gave
Said
me
them
those
same
same
words
words.
to me.
And so
Yes.
and it reminded me because and I talked about this, I can't remember which season where I had a dream that there was mass suicide happening and the thing that was told to me to do was to recite the Lord's Prayer.
Right.
And
Right.
I was like, oh, that felt like instruction on what to do. And then thanks to you, we learned the real Lord's Prayer.
The original in its original translation, which is Aramaic, right? So it's in the original Eastern culture Aramaic language. And it's different, y'all. Like it's not the same thing. And the one when I heard it for the first time, it hit me so much. I called you immediately and was like, stop saying your prayer, please. Just stop for a minute. Read this one. And you immediately fell in love because it immediately touched you as well. And I remember finding it and I was like, I think I thanked one of my guides because I don't even know how I stumbled upon it. You know what I mean? But it was like I needed this.
From the moment you sent it to me, when I read it, I felt it. I
Right.
wasn't just saying words, I felt the
Right.
word. And that's in knowing being a master manifester. That's what you have to know, that like emotion drives your manifestation. So
That's
when
it.
I read that prayer and I felt the emotion behind it,
Right.
I was like, oh, this feels different.
Yeah.
And its words carried weight. Every individual word was there on purpose and intentional. And so we started reading or reciting it. When you sent it to me, I wrote it down. I kept writing it down because I wanted to
Me too.
remember it. Because I knew the Lord's Prayer that was given to me.
You can recite that. No
Right.
problem.
So I was like, okay, I got to learn this one. So eventually we did. We learned it, and we would say it before every episode. I would say it before bed, when I rose. If I want anytime, just anytime, if I felt like it, I would start saying it.
I
And
would take out like pieces of it because like when you read it, it's like breaking so much stuff down into like little songs, like verses. You know, like verses basically. And so I would like pull out a verse when I needed it throughout the
Mhm.
day. You know what I mean? And it would just, I would say it out loud or say it to myself and it will hold me down for a little bit. So I think it's one of the treasures that
Mhm.
maybe they didn't want it to stumble onto, but I found it, y'all.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting because I'm bringing it back to the film. After like just watching it and watching what has happened, and there's like this huge cultural moment, everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
And because it's a story which I feel like is redemption song and freedom and one of freedom, it made me even go to when you look at Ryan Coogler. So then I wanted to learn more about him. Like I knew about him
Oh,
from like face value of like, yes, he's an amazing director. He's made some amazing films. But
right.
then when I learned about his non-negotiables for creating this film, which is basically saying like
Unprecedented.
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 What I love about it is he was like, I'll take y'all's money to make this film. However, in order to do that, these are the things that are non-negotiable for me. And one of them is for him in 25 years to ultimately outright own the film. Kudos. In the year 2050, he will own this film and be like, that's amazing.
Nobody else can make money off of this but him.
It is, he's also like the first to get paid out after they're profitable, which is like normally directors would be the last one and the cast and the crew. But like,
Right.
and there's a couple other things, but I was just like, what a genius mind. You created this film that was coded in freedom in a language that Black Americans, Black people who I feel are an indigenous. Ain't nobody can tell me, you can tell me what you want about
You
where you
keep saying this.
but I believe Black Americans came from right here. So when people
Zakiya
ask
said
where you came from, America.
Zakiya said it's right here. She said, I'm not looking outside. I was here. I'm
I
from
was
this
right there.
soil.
And a lot of you were too. So this film is for you. It is such a triumph and such a beautiful depiction of who we are, where we've come from, what we have overcome to still be here to survive. And ultimately, um, the final song in the movie is Last Time. And this, as soon as I hear this song, I get choked up, right? And so
Mm.
I've been listening because I've been listening to the soundtrack this week as well as I've been going
Oh
through.
yeah, me too.
You got to go. And so it says, "When is it our time?" in that song. And it finally feels like for the last, and we've been saying like something's about to, we've been saying this
Shift.
for
A
maybe
minute.
months or more. We've been saying something is happening, something's gonna shift, something's gonna do there's gonna be something. And it feels like Sinners is the catalyst to that shift.
Mm,
Or it's either
mm.
signifying that the shift has happened. But I remember I said recently to someone, I was like, I feel like the ancestors are closer. I feel like they're able to really now like get involved and really like help out, right? On
I
this
think
world.
I think enough of us are awake to hear them,
Mm.
to, you know what I mean? To tap in. I think enough of us are awake now. And now, so that in turn makes them say, let's get a little bit closer. Like, you know what I mean? So, kudos to us because we are holding it down. We are, getting ready. We're getting prepared. Because, like I said in season 2, when it's time to jump, who's with me? Because I'm jumping. Like, what are we doing here? I'm
Well, Ryan
jumping.
Coogler's this film, I believe, really is a mass awakening.
Yeah,
Because everybody took something. You took whatever level you are on in this game of life that you're
yeah.
currently playing. You went to that movie and you took something. Whether it
Hmm.
was the love story, whether this was just a great film, or these were
And
great
that part
characters,
too. It
you
was just
know,
a great freaking
which is
film.
fine. But everybody took something from wherever, whatever level you are consciously and on your consciousness, that's what you were able to depict and take out of that
Yeah.
film. That's why I think there are some other levels to like thinking about the contracts that we sign, right? And
In
then like you
life.
need to be very careful what you are signing over and what you're
Yeah.
agreeing to and what someone can sell you as a better life. Because
Hmm.
that's really what he did. Remember, so like when we first see Remick drop out of the sky almost and run into that, to that couple's home, he uses manipulation to
Right.
get in. Oh, they're,
Hmm.
please don't let them hurt me anymore. Like he appealed
They took my
to their
wife.
senses. Exactly. And now that's the same thing that he was trying to do to get into the juke to be like to appeal to their senses. Like we just want to drink and have a good time. So it's like you
Yeah.
got to be careful because everything that glitter ain't gold.
It's not. It's not. And that was the biggest thing I also took out of this movie. Like just the pure answer to the question, like, how did all of this start? How did we get here? Right? Like it was told through vampires, but it just had so many other, avenues that I was just like, oh my God, he did it so beautifully just by this one way, just by showing us vampires. But if you know, you know. And I think that's why so many of us are talking about it right now because we know.
Well, I've seen a lot of people in New Orleans talking about people in New Orleans been know they've been vampires, y'all. Like they say it. They like we been new. The
Look,
French Quarter.
I used to love True Blood.
I was thinking about that the other day. I read the entire series and I was in it, but because I had
Locked
read
in.
the books, I didn't even really watch the show because I was like, nah, the show can't do what
Oh.
them books was doing. Because honey, I was in there like, okay, vampire, okay. Same way I would look at Stack and be like,
No,
okay,
I was locked into Sticky Stackhouse on HBO and Jason Stackhouse. I loved them. So yeah, like the vampire depiction was just, one way of putting it to us, but I think we all got it. Like it ain't about these vampires out here. It's about us. And we really need to start, asking ourselves the questions. And just that, Sammy had then to ask himself a question: am I gonna stick with the blues, or am I gonna go play gospel at my daddy's church? And he followed his heart. And because his heart was leading him to freedom, like you said, which is, kind of what the blues did for him.
Yeah. Now, so do you think so? So the first post credit scene, is Sammy happy with his choice?
Um, when he's in the club,
Mm-hmm.
Paul, what's her name? Perlene's.
Perlane's. Mhm.
When he's in the club playing music, and is he happy? I don't know. I mean, we miss so much, but I don't think so. If you still you still kind of going on about Perlene, like who are you with? Like
That was
who
still the greatest night of your life. He was like, it was the greatest night
he's
of
still
my
chasing
life.
that. He may not be a vampire now, but he's still chasing the best night of his life.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is true. It'll be interesting because what I love about it is Ryan Coogler also set up an entire franchise around
Oh
the
my
Sinners in
God.
this movie
You
because
better give them to me, baby. Back to back to back.
there are so many stories that we need to know more about.
You can tell me all of them. I want to know all of them.
There are so many different lens to it and the timeline because we
Yeah.
need to go back because we need to see Stack and Mary and Annie and Smoke when they were younger and what
Yeah.
happened. That's a whole story, right?
Right.
You also have the story of what happened when they left Mississippi, where they were in Chicago. They were in likely World War I because they talked about Germany. Like, so there's so many.
They could go into the future and put Sammy in the town over that that Stack told him to go
Oh,
to
they
the bayou,
could.
Eve's
Like,
Bayou.
we could do
Stack said,
that.
take your ass to Eve's Bayou with them proper black people and play some blues. Like, if you're gonna do anything, right? So you could tell
Ooh.
me that story.
That would be a good one, Ryan. Like if he maybe he goes there for a few years and then it's like, no, I got to go on up to Chicago.
Right, right. How did it could go back, it could go forward.
It could go
Just
everywhere.
give it to me because
Well,
this
you know,
amazing.
in the iconic uh, dance scene where there's tribute to the ancestors and different cultures, and I noticed today for the first time too, watching it when so you know the guy who comes in with the electric guitar, and he's like futuristic, but I had
Yeah.
never heard that they said from the future too. Like you're calling ancestors. I was just thinking about calling ancestors from in the past, not thinking. So when I heard it today, and I was like, yes, you are also channeling ancestors in the future, which is what we
Mhm.
talk about when I say my future self told my current self to be
I'm
wishing for
just
this
trying to
because my
catch
future
up
self
to it.
already knows my current self got it or is going to
Yeah.
get it. I'm going to help you get there kind of thing. So.
Right. I'm gonna catch up to that next life. Like it's there. I can see it. I visualize it. We talked about visualization. I visualized it. I just got to catch up to it. And so all of that in one room, you saw all of that. And well, it was Sammy seeing all of that because his voice was just everything. And he was so tapped into music. He was opening up the portals.
Well, yeah, but that's also, and that's where you're like, oh, but the vultures, like you shined your light so bright, which this little light of
You
mine, which was
did.
also that. Well, that's remember that's why I really cried in the first one because right before the week before I had, or a couple weeks before I saw this movie, I had started singing this little light of mine to invoke my ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a song that I remember having to go to a Southern Baptist church. That was just the one song that stuck that I just always remember. So I started
Yeah.
singing that again. So in the end of the movie, the second post credit scene, the very final scene, when Sammy comes on and he's singing this little light of mine, I was like, oh my gosh. And it was
Mm.
validation to me because I was like, yes, that's how
Yeah.
I was going. Yes. So I'm in the car. Like, I get in the car. I voice note Akilah because I know you're on a plane on your way back to the East Coast. And I'm like, girl, oh my God. I'm at just like an emotional roller coaster.
You did.
When I called you this morning, you was like, girl, you was going through it.
You know what? You know those moments when you get a voice note and you want to tap keep? Like, I wanted to tap keep so bad, but I was like, no, I don't want to keep it because she probably going to be like, erase that. Like, you was an emotional wreck. I was like, damn, I ain't keep it though.
Oh, you could have kept it. It's okay because it was raw and it was real. Because I was like, Thank you. I was like, what a gift on my birthday. And that's why I think I was calling you to also say thank you for telling me to go see it, because just to do it on my birthday, it felt such like it was just such a gift that I gave myself.
Yeah.
Or Ryan Coogler gave me. Ryan, cast and crew, shout out to y'all
Hello.
because you did the big thing.
Hello,
And I am loving
sir.
it. I feel like we family and I'm put on now. Like,
And
no,
look, Ryan
cousin
Coogler, I told you this the other day. I said, why is Ryan Coogler giving me Professor Coogler up in here? Like he was doing tutorials of like the different prints on the on the
on the
camera.
different,
Like,
like,
yes.
the
And he was like going through it line by line. Like he was teaching people. And I was like, sir, how do you even have time for this? But it was beautiful. So Ryan,
did you
thank
know?
you.
Okay, so first of all, did you know that if you saw it in IMAX, you were supposed to get a little like film, like an actual like physical millimeter? So
No.
okay, and so Ryan, I'm just saying, I've seen it 3 times, all in IMAX,
Me
all
too.
in IMAX.
Me too.
And I didn't find out until about this recently. So when I went today, I was like, "Oh, do I have it?" And he's like, "Oh, I guess we don't have anymore." And I was like, "Damn it!" So I mean, if you want to shoot me one, is getting here to podcast. We'll take it. We appreciate
Hello.
you. We appreciate you so much for creating this film
Yeah.
and for all of the conversations that it's starting.
Yes.
We love to see the success. We send you protection and love and
We
just
do.
more creativity, because that's more than anything. It was the originality. It was the
Mm-hmm.
originality of the story that we all have just been moved
Yes.
by. So kudos to you again, Ryan Coogler, entire cast, entire crew. Y'all did your damn thing.
You
It
did.
doesn't matter what award shows say, because the public has already spoken.
We
This
already said
is
it.
the color purple.
We already said it. We stamped the approval, baby. You did your thing.
All right, peace, y'all. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Until next time, y'all, keep showing up, keep doing the work, keep healing so you can be free. Get in here with Akilah and Zakkiya.